If you are running an insulation business in 2026 and looking for a software that can handle your blow in, attic, spray, wall dance, back, crawl space, work, R values, all of those insulation terminologies and exactly map your process. In this video, I'm going to make your life easy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific insulation softwares, compare them head to head against each other. This also means the most famous ones, for example, Jobber and Housecall Pro, and then the famous AI operating ones like FieldCamp, and then the rest too for franchise operations and the traditional businesses that have been using it like FieldGroove. I'm going to compare them category wise against each other. I'm going to make it quick so it's easy for you to decide which is good for what ultimately, and by the end you will exactly know what is right software for your business. Now if you Google this term currently and just say like I'm looking for an insulation contractor software, for example, you are going to see Projul, Build Prime, Quote IQ, Stack, PlanSwift, Bluebeam, All Pro Insulator, and review sites like Capterra and Software Finder. That is a lot to choose from, when especially some of these softwares are just meant for construction and not specifically for the insulation work that you are doing. So I'm not putting every one of these in the main scorecard, because when I say the insulation contractor software, we are not just talking about simple things like estimating which software is best for phase-based estimating. I'm putting the entire business workflow of an insulation contractor, starting from when a request comes in to a multi-phase estimate being made, site measurements being taken, etc. end-to-end process. Only I will say these 5 softwares which can fit the entire workflow end to end. So the first thing we have to do is we have to compare the table stacks. Which of the softwares, 5 of them, which I said Jobber, Housecall Pro, ServiceMinder, FieldGroove and FieldCamp. These are the 5 softwares. Do they all have this table stack, which is the entire workflow we have just mentioned about? Yes. So Jobber is a simple FSM. It's more for insulation company with less than 5 people. Jobber is the right fit for you because they have the client hub where your clients can see the estimates, approve the estimates, etc. They have a simple estimate maker. You can make estimates. You can, I think, also add sections to these estimates, but there is nothing like phase based or margins or even like a additional capability to schedule a multi-day job. Housecall Pro is a bit more advanced than Jobber. They have the entire flow from sales estimates to the invoicing and job process. The entire flow is there. And you can also make multi-option estimates like good, better, best, and you can add phases as well. The only problem is the scheduling and dispatch part for insulation companies with phase-based scheduling and multi-day scheduling. It's a lot manual and takes in a lot of toll ultimately. ServiceMinder has the entire flow lead to payment. It is only meant for franchises. On their website they just say we are a franchise solution, and a lot of famous franchises, for example in insulation space, use this software to bring things together, but people have complained that their APIs are not present. They have no AI basically in 2026, so it's still a bit of old software. And FieldGroove falls in the same category as ServiceMinder. It's very old, very slow ultimately. Even to click from one screen to another screen takes you like 20 seconds, for example, but their entire workflow is present. So you can literally create estimates, then you can create work orders, ultimately load out sheets, site measurements, etc. You can do all of this, but their integration is still a bit behind compared to all of the modern softwares. Now, we need to also realize that outside this main 5, there are many other softwares as well. For example, Projul and Builder Prime are contractor management platforms ultimately. So if you deal with a lot of contractors, this is for you. Apart from takeoff and estimation, there is of course a bigger scenario which you have to evaluate, but these are the softwares which are great for this one area. And then lastly, when you Google, for example, all this, as I said, there is Capterra and there is SoftwareMinder, and they will suggest you a bit of construction softwares and bit of estimation and takeoff softwares. So now if you are looking for a full workflow software, none of these solutions may be the right fit for you. We want something which is insulation specific first of all. So which product understands insulation instead of just like generic service calls. For example, in Jobber and Housecall Pro, the same software is given to HVAC people, to plumbing people, to electrical people, and the same software is given to insulation people. So when I say that which software is specifically crafted for insulation, these two disqualify straight away. FieldGroove is the closest one, which is a bit advanced than these two. It's a bit old and slow, but at least it gives you the capability of site measurements and then work orders and then loadout sheets, which is essential for your insulation business. Now, as I said, Jobber has generic codes. They don't even have good, better, best. They have optional line items. You can have strict follow-ups basically. Like if someone doesn't reply to an estimate in 3 days, it will ask you, hey, can you just check out the estimate that we sent you? HCP has good, better, best. As I said, ServiceMinder has the franchise branded proposals, territory routing. So if you're a franchise and leads need to be routed to the territory, ServiceMinder is for you. And FieldGroove has the foam, blown, fiberglass, etc. coverage phases. So as I said, if you are insulation business, a better option for you compared to Jobber and Housecall Pro, just from the basic workflow and something that understands the insulation entities, it's FieldGroove. Now coming to FieldCamp. FieldCamp has something called as customizable data model. So recently they have made an entire playlist basically on the insulation business, but because their entire software can be customized to how your insulation business runs, it is not first of all feasible for anyone less than 10 people teams. It's more for bigger companies like 10 people to 100 people companies who want to customize the software. It integrates to ArcSite, Hover, etc. So when a request is created in FieldCamp, for example, then a project is automatically created in, for example, Hover, where drawings and measurements can be taken. It flows back into FieldCamp in a site measurements tab. And this same site measurements can flow ultimately into multi-day job scheduling, in the estimating, in the invoicing, etc. So overall, now if you say that, hey, from the basic workflow plus insulation terminology, which are the top two candidates ultimately for a given standalone business, it's going to be FieldCamp and FieldGroove ultimately. FieldGroove is a bit old. FieldCamp has a lot more AI and automation and customizable capabilities. If you go commercial, for example, and you want to say that for one client, we have multiple properties, and for each property, we need to do this entire process. You cannot do that in FieldGroove. You can do that in FieldCamp itself. Now talking about scheduling and dispatch, this seems like a very simple thing, but for insulation it's very different compared to an HVAC or a plumbing company, because first of all you have to schedule and dispatch your crews in phases. So in phase 1 you are doing, for example, removal. Phase 2 is installation. So you need to plan your calendar around the phases, and secondly, each phase can go more than one day. So it's not just like a 2-hour HVAC job, it can be multi-day planning and jobs as well. Now when you're doing multi-day scheduling, figuring out who goes where is always a challenge and a lot of manual work, because first you have to see that, hey, this is a 7-day job that we need to go day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5, continuously 7 days. Day 1, I need these 2 people to do the removal. Day 2, another 2 people who are experts, they might go to do the installation. So you need to figure out days where simultaneously all these people are available. Unfortunately, in Jobber and Housecall Pro and in ServiceMinder and FieldGroove, this is not possible. What you will do is you have to actually manually figure out that, hey, on day 1 this is available. Okay, now when is someone in day 2 available? Right after the day 1. So you do all of this figuring out manually. FieldCamp is the only software where they have multi-day job scheduling, which can literally work for construction, insulation, all those projects. You can just say that, hey, this is a 7-day insulation job, and you have created a template where it says that day 1 I need 2 people of this skill, day 2 I need 2 people of this skill, etc. And then based on that, right within 5 seconds, it's going to suggest you that these are the dates when the entire crew is available back to back. And then the calendar views are also more flexible towards multi-day job scheduling. Let's come into estimates, which is the main thing. Now, if you are using some software like Hover or ArcSite, there is a chance that you might just make estimates and takeoffs right there if you have the right plan ultimately to do that. So you need a software, first of all, that if you are doing this, it integrates with these softwares to bring in those estimates, or just basically bring in the site measurements. Estimates in the insulation space has something which is phases, which are important. Good, better, best option. So you need to have options. You need to have rebates, discounts, etc. All those features, contract, image annotations, etc. So these are the features that you require. Jobber doesn't have good, better, best or any other thing. They have a flat estimate with sections. Ultimately, simple as that. Housecall Pro has good, better, best, but it stops right there. Of course, they have contracts and stuff, but they don't have something called as, for example, phases, which can be added. Now, FieldCamp is almost same as Housecall Pro, and FieldGroove ultimately and ServiceMinder, both of them, all three of them are a bit above Housecall Pro, but most of it's same. The reason it's above is because they allow for phase-based estimates, but apart from that, it's pretty much same. The only differentiator is FieldCamp, where you can have an agent which, based on the site measurements, automatically draft an estimate ultimately. So when you don't have to manually do the calculation that for a 25 square foot I would need this much thing, if your rules are set, then the agent can automatically draft the estimates which are there. So in this category, so scheduling and dispatch, FieldCamp wins. Estimate, ultimately it's almost the same playing field for every single software except Jobber, so it's a tie basically. But if you want to estimate follow-ups, automations, AI, etc., then FieldCamps win this category. Then comes the multi-location and franchise. ServiceMinder wins this basically. It is meant for franchises. There's no comparison. No other software gives you that level of flexibility with the advanced options ultimately. But the only thing is, ServiceMinder doesn't have AI features, doesn't have APIs, doesn't have anything. So it's an isolated box ultimately. So if you just want to bring your data in together, ServiceMinder is the place, but it doesn't have any of the advanced capabilities. But FieldCamp has announced recently that they are working on a franchise module. So if they do, then it's just a game changer. And lastly, talking about pricing, most cheapest pricing is Jobber. Housecall Pro is cheap to start, but add-ons will kill you for sales proposals which are a need. For example, you need to add approx $100 to $200 monthly in additional subscription. You want price book, you add additional, etc. So a lot of add-ons which goes into there. Then there is FieldGroove, which is FieldGroove and ServiceMinder. ServiceMinder has a different pricing because it's for franchises, so it's more for per location. FieldGroove, it's around $400 to $500 a month, but there's no AI capabilities and it's just a very old app with very slow interface. And then comes FieldCamp. FieldCamp has a basic tier starting at $250, but for most companies in installation space, it's around $1,000 a month, which is where the pricing comes around. And then it's more of a AI usage based pricing, which comes around $100 to $200 a month, which is there. So based on all of this information, who should choose what? If you're a solo insulation contractor just doing solo jobs, Jobber is your option. If you are less than 5 people and you are not that deep into phase-wise estimates, automations, etc., Housecall Pro or FieldGroove is your option. If you are anyone more than 5 or 10 people, up to 100 plus people, FieldCamp is the option for your software if you want customizability, AI agents, automation, and help in scheduling and dispatch. And then lastly, if you are a franchisee, ServiceMinder is your option. So now we just group this into 3 categories. So in the first category, you have something simple to start. If you are a scaled up version, then FieldCamp, and if you are a franchise, then it's ServiceMinder. That's your option. Do your research and contact these people for additional information. Thank you.